Tony Stewart already had a nickname before he won his first NASCAR race. People called him Smoke long before he raced stock cars, and it wasn't always a term of endearment. He earned the moniker because he would smoke the rear tires in a sprint car. The green flag would drop, you could see smoke coming off a tire throughout the race. There was Tony, hammering the gas and looking for grip. Simple as that. Not much about Tony Stewart is simple. You kids know him for his championships and his ZFG persona. We're here to tell you some things you kids don't know. Like first, did you know that his first championship came 20 years ago? Even those who follow NASCAR might find it hard to believe. My, how time flies since he won that first title in 2002. He had a second title in 2005 and another in 2011, bookending the string of 5 consecutive championships won by Jimmy Johnson. If you feel old that we are doing a You Kids Don't Know on Tony Stewart, that's understandable. But he hasn't run a cup race since 2016. That's more than 5 years. And he won just 2 races in his last 4 years as a cup driver. So for all you new fans over the last 10 years who didn't see Tony Stewart's greatness on the racetrack, here's a little history lesson.
He was on the racetrack who he is, a really great racer, really fiery and competitive, and doesn't take any crap from anybody, really. So I think what the fans saw is what Tony Stewart truly was, a great competitor and, someone you really don't want to, have a run-in with on the racetrack, because he's going to be the first one to make sure you're not making it to the next lap. And I like that about Tony. I always enjoyed watching him, and getting to know him personally was very special also.
Now, before you think he was just one of those jerks at all times on the racetrack, Stewart actually was one of those drivers who wouldn't put up much of a fight if the opposing driver had a faster car. As long as he gave it back in return, he was good with that type of racing. And it certainly helped him in 2011 when he rallied from the back a couple of times at Homestead to win the championship race and capture the title. That championship run started with Stewart telling reporters at the start of the chase that he didn't consider himself much of a contender. He didn't consider himself as someone having a shot at the crown. But he opened the chase with back-to-back wins. He could smell the championship as he battled Carl Edwards down to the wire.
You're 8 points back of Carl Edwards with 3 to go, man. We have a championship battle in the making.
He better be worried, that's all I gotta say. He ain't gonna have an easy 3 weeks.
He just made it happen. Some would consider it the most epic rally and championship triumph of all time. Not only did he turn a mediocre season into a great one by beating one of the best drivers in the series, he earned a championship as a co-owner just 3 years after leaving Joe Gibbs Racing. That departure was unprecedented in how it happened. Gene Haas gave Stewart half of his cup team as long as Stewart would have his people primarily run the operations, which elevated the status of the organization to a place where results were required and racers wanted to work there. But let's go back to the beginning. This kid from Rushville, Indiana was known for winning races. Maybe it was the incentive of having Dairy Queen as a sponsor, and his bonus for winning a race? Free ice cream. He was supposed to be the next open wheel star and challenge all of AJ Foyt's records. But at the time, that series was floundering amid a nasty split of car owners that resulted in 2 rival series. NASCAR was where it was at, and Tony Stewart could thrive, both in earning trophies and big checks in stock cars. He won in his 25th career Cup start at Richmond. 3 years later, he earned his first Cup title. He started the season strong with wins at the high-speed Atlanta track and then the short track at Richmond. But nearly all fell apart in the summer until he earned a win when it possibly mattered most. After a frustrating 12th place finish at Indianapolis, he punched a photographer, resulting in fines from NASCAR as well as his sponsor. The following week, amid speculation that his NASCAR career was in jeopardy, he won at Watkins Glen, vaulting from 7th to 4th in points and sparking the run to the championship.
He always had that ability to just jump in anything, adapt immediately, and go fast in it, whether it was a midget, a sprint car, stock car, Indy car, whatever it was. And I think that's what made Tony great, right?
As Harvick explained it, Stewart wasn't the driver who was going to do a bunch of studying prior to a race. He got in and drove, and it worked. In 10 of his Cup seasons, Stewart won at least 3 Cup races.
He's unique. He's definitely not the role model for the most dedication of putting in the most time of work and you know, being able to analyze practice and break this down and break that down. That's not what makes Tony tick. The thing that makes Tony tick is being able to be in a race car, whether it's here or there, and he wanted to push himself in a different way, and that's what made Tony Stewart great.
So you know Stewart's accomplishments as a driver, but think about his impact as a car owner. And I'm talking about long before starting Stewart-Haas Racing on the Cup side. He has owned sprint car teams, and several of those drivers got a shot at NASCAR too.
You know, once I started driving for Tony, you know, just seeing, you know, all the work that he put into everything that he does on and off the track. He was obviously super, super talented behind the wheel in any race car that he got in, and any race car that he gets in, he puts 100% into it.
Stenhouse can say Stewart goes 100% all out, and Harvick can say Stewart didn't need to do some of the work that others did as far as preparation, and both would be right. Stewart's version of giving it his all was having the right people in the right place. Now, don't believe for a second that Stewart just had great cars and wheeled them all to victory. He possesses an incredible racecraft.
Watching him go from IndyCar to stock car racing, and in those days it was so important to take care of your tires, take care of your brakes, and manage your stuff. And I felt like Tony was one of the best at that. He was so good at making sure he had tire left on the race car, and he was just, you know, really, really good at managing his equipment, and he won a lot of races because of that at some really demanding, challenging racetracks.
It worked for him in all series. He was one of the first drivers to do the Indy 500 Coke 600 double, competing in both Memorial Day weekend events over a 12-hour time span. That certainly taxed him from a physical standpoint, but not from a racing standpoint. For other drivers who went from open wheel cars to NASCAR, they know how special it really is that Stewart went from a star in open wheel to even a bigger star in stock cars. They know how difficult the two disciplines are and the challenge to be good in both. AJ Allmendinger had a rough transition from open wheel cars to NASCAR and looks at Stewart with amazement.
When he transitioned to NASCAR, he made everything look so easy, which is a good and bad thing, because it made me think, like, I mean, how hard can it be? Like, I mean, they make it look easy, and then I realized it's not easy. He could wheel anything, and that's just why I loved watching him drive. I really enjoyed racing against him, and you know, more importantly, he always told it how it was. So I mean, as a fan, like that's what we love about, or you love or hate about him, but that's what I loved about him.
Tony Stewart also inspired. There was a young Chase Briscoe who all he wanted to be in life was Tony Stewart, a superstar who would still race against Briscoe's father on the Indiana short tracks.
As I got older and started actually understanding what I was watching, I quickly learned that I liked Tony's style. You know, the guy that was always tough, would race literally anything. You know, I remember going to Brownstown Speedway or Bloomington Speedway, and Tony was already a Cup Series driver, and he'd be there racing a dirt late model or a dirt sprint car. You turn on the Chili Bowl, he'd be running a midget, and he was the only guy that would race on Sundays that was also racing at all these dirt tracks. So I just always thought that was the coolest thing.
There are plenty of drivers who do that currently, including Briscoe, who now drives for his idol. It's a legacy, an influence in the sport that continues. If he never wins again, he will win in some car somewhere, I guarantee it. He would still have a resume that would be the envy of any driver. 49 career Cup victories, 11 Xfinity victories, 2 in the trucks, and 3 in IndyCar. He owns championships in 4 different disciplines: NASCAR Cup, IndyCar, IROC, and USAC, plus 2 Chili Bowl midget car national titles and 4 USAC titles, including the 1995 Triple Crown of midget, sprint, and Silver Crown championships.
It's been a hell of a ride, but all the pole positions, laps led, wins, championships, trophies, awards, and prestige, they don't matter at the end as much as the relationships I've made with everyone along the way. And that's what I value the most.
race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News content and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.